Hi guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. So as per usual, I have my wicked candle in here, making the whole room smell like caramel apples. I have my hot chocolate candle in here. I'm not lighting either of them because I don't want to. They just smell good as it is. So I do apologize. I did say I think it was Friday, that I was gonna have a video up, and my boyfriend actually ended up coming home super early. He usually comes home on Thursdays, but he was working Tuesday through Friday instead that week, and he ended up coming home super early because the wildfires in Alberta are absolutely insane right now, and the area that he was in is where the wildfires were, so he was like racing to like beat the fire and find a route that was still open to come home. So it was a lot of chaos on Friday, and Alberta is just literally on fire right now. So I do apologize that I didn't post a video on Friday. I meant to, but it was a little hectic, so I didn't. So I'm gonna try to post about 3 or 4 videos this week just to catch up, because I literally haven't posted in like a week. So with all of that out of the way, I did get my hair done today. It looks really pretty, and I need to move my mic down because my hair is probably hitting it. So my hair looks absolutely gorgeous. My girlfriend Lauren did it, and I love it. It's so gorgeous. And then there is one other thing that I want to talk to you guys about. So this is not a company sponsoring this video. I literally want to show you guys my own creations. So my boyfriend bought me a Cricut. So I have a Cricut now, and I started making sun catchers. So there are these reflective vinyl onto like window cling, and when you put it up to the window and you stick it onto the window, when the sun shines through it, it creates rainbows all through your house. So I'll post a photo here of the rainbow that it creates, and these are absolutely so gorgeous. So if you guys are interested in rainbow makers or rainbow catchers or sun catchers, and you want to buy some from me or support me, or just want one in your house because you want a little boost of serotonin all over your house because these rainbows are so freaking cool, then you guys can message me on Instagram and I can give you guys the prices. The price is going to depend on the design. So if the design is really intense like this one was, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. I think this one is going to be about $20, whereas simpler designs like this is going to be about $10. So this is all in Canadian, by the way. So if you are in another country, then we'll figure out shipping and stuff from there. But if you're interested in any of my sun catchers, please just send me a message and I will create one for you. They are so pretty though. Like this one is absolutely my favorite. I made this one for my girlfriend Erin. Haven't given it to her yet, obviously, but the books are so freaking cute and I love it. And then this one's for my girlfriend Lauren because she's literally a stylist. So I thought it was fitting. But anyway, those are my sun catchers. I will post a story and like a little highlight on my Instagram so you guys can go check them out and all of that. And you can just message me on Instagram if you're interested in supporting me and buying one of my sun catchers because they're really freaking cool. I don't know how much shipping is going to be and all of that, but you can just message me and we'll figure it all out. So with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the spooky stories. So I do have an update from one of the stories that we read a couple of weeks ago. I guess it would have been last week or the week before. And I'm really excited because she sends me the longest freaking stories ever, and they're all so freaking creepy. So I read her stories in one of my last videos, and she has an update for me because she just has like an ongoing list of all of these crazy things that have happened in her crazy house. She mentioned in her last story that she wanted to know what something was. So somebody responded to her and they said, apparently culpe darnum means to blame in Latin. So that's where we're starting this. And I sent that to her. I sent her a screenshot and she said, that's scary and really crazy. So she said, hey, I saw the question at the end of your video, and yeah, I do still live here, unfortunately. And yeah, we tried to cleanse it, but it didn't work. Stuff has died down a little, but it's definitely not gone. I found some time now and I can finally send you some more stories. So here is her updated stories. So as I said before, the upstairs is abandoned. I used to sometimes go up there for showers, but it's not safe to do that anymore. This is the incident that made me stop taking showers up there. Between having to walk past both bedrooms and having to ignore the horrible feeling radiating from each room, I tried my best to not take showers on the second floor. I only used the second floor shower if the other ones were being used usually. This night, none of them were being used, but I still decided to go upstairs, which is rare because we have an unspoken rule of don't go upstairs at night. I was feeling brave, so I thought it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It started where I went to the bathroom off to the kitchen. While I was in there, I heard someone knock on the door twice. I yelled out, "Who's there?" But there was no reply. So I opened the door and no one was there. I thought it was strange, but I didn't think twice about it at first. I walked into the living room to see my father and sister sitting on the floor looking for movies to watch. I asked them, what did they want? They looked at me confused. Well, you knocked on the bathroom door, didn't you? They looked at each other and then back at me. They said, we've been here looking for movies the entire time. I was puzzled, but still wanted to find an explanation. I went to go find my mother, and when I found her, she was sleeping. I started to get freaked out and decided to just go take my shower against my better judgment. I went to the bathroom with my cat, and I closed the door as much as I could, because it didn't fully close and didn't lock. It was closed enough to not let anyone see in or out, and I began to take off my clothes. Before I could turn on the shower, I heard the doors to the upstairs open and close, and then I heard someone walking up the stairs. I figured it must have been my sister, and I tried to ignore it, but something didn't feel right. I stayed still and I watched in horror. The footsteps went into my sister's bedroom. More proof that it's my sister, right? That's what I thought. But then they circled back and stood right in front of the bathroom door. I was stunned, unable to move. I stood there for what seemed like hours, just listening to whatever this was walk down the hall to my sister's room and then come back to stand in front of my door for a few minutes before repeating the process again. I told myself it was just my cat walking up and down the hall. That's all it is. But when I looked over, I saw my cat in the bathroom with me, sitting on the toilet lid like she usually did. I had forgotten that she had come in here with me. She didn't usually do that, but maybe she didn't want to be out there as much as I didn't. I frantically texted my sister asking her to come upstairs. She asked me why. I said, "You know why." So she started to make her way up to where I was. Then I heard something run down the stairs and open the door. I thought she opened the door, but the door closed and the footsteps ceased. A couple of minutes later, the door to the upstairs opened again. And this time, I could feel it was my sister and not something else. She came up to the door and called my name. I let her inside and I made her sit there until my shower ended. Safe to say, I am never taking a shower up there again. In my previous stories, I shared that I moved from my upstairs bedroom down to the downstairs bedroom, which is directly underneath my old room. When you open my bedroom door, it opens to the dining room and kitchen, and next to that is the library. Occasionally, my dog will come and lay up against my door at night and will make a loud pound noise as he lets all his weight fall into the floor. Remember that. For months, I'd be waking up in the middle of the night in a partial sleep paralysis. Just enough time for me to feel something was crawling on my bed and didn't want me to see it. So it would dart underneath my bed, and shortly after, I was able to move again. This happened every single night for months, like I said, until this. I was super tired one night, so I went to bed and I fell asleep insanely quick. Later that night, I began to wake up because I heard a loud bang on my bedroom door. I was groggy and trying to open my eyes, but my attempts to open them just looked more like me rolling my eyes in the back of my head. I assumed it was my dog. Then my bedroom door opened. I thought it still could be my dog because sometimes he opens the door with his nose, but then the door closed behind whatever it was. So I thought perhaps it was one of my parents checking on me, which they almost never do, but I didn't want it to be anything else. I laid there, unable to move, and I heard this thing drop down to the floor and drag itself across the bedroom floor. I was scared, but not as scared as I should have been. I was more along the lines of thinking, oh, it's a demon. Should have known. But now what? I heard it crawl up to my bed and start to climb on top of my bed. I had never had an experience like this ever. Whatever it was, it almost seemed animalistic. I know they have different kinds of demons, but this was so beyond different anything that I've ever experienced. I could feel its fur rubbing against my face as it crawled its way around my head. Then it put its face on mine and began to smell me. It was incredibly strange. You know how if you close your eyes right now, you can still see the room you're sitting in inside your mind? That's where I was at. But in the corner, I could see a man that was all white and illuminated by it all. He was so bright, I couldn't see any distinct features. He said to me, "Pretend it's a dog." I was confused, and he could sense that, so he only said it over and over and over again. Pretend it's a dog. Pretend it's a dog. Pretend it's a dog. I started to imagine whatever was on my face was my dog. The little bit I could open my eyes, I saw locks of brown fur, but I decided to keep my eyes closed and just keep imagining it was only my dog sniffing and crawling on me. I imagined it so well that I actually began to laugh because of the little nose sniffing me. As soon as I began laughing, everything stopped. The creature was gone, and I could move. I sat up in bed and I looked around. There was no trace of anything. My bedroom door was still closed, as if nobody had ever entered. Now, of course, realistically, it was very obviously not my dog. My dog can open doors, but not close them. He wouldn't be able to leave my room that fast either, and my dog isn't brown or small, by any means. I have a black and yellow 120-pound German Shepherd. He would never have been able to be running around my face like that little brown thing. Whatever it was. Anyways, I never felt it on my bed after that, and I never had another experience with it. This was only one of the few experiences I ever had with an animalistic type demon. Usually they would come in more humanistic forms. Haven't yet decided which form is scarier. But that's all I can share for now. Let me know if you want more, because God knows I have so many stories. And I said, of course I want to hear more. And I said, that's wild. I have no idea what that would have been or what I would have done in that situation. And she said, yeah, it was rough, but I've been growing up with it, so I've gotten decently used to it. Of course, when stuff happens, there's still some fear and shock, but it happens and then it's done. It's almost like when something happens, I'm just getting over a persistent cold every once in a while. So it's not that scary anymore, but I'll share more. I think I finally have a moment to sit down and type more out. After I moved out of the upstairs and into my downstairs bedroom, I would have things happen on and off, but never usually anything that bothered me that much. But I will say, something that did bother me would be this. I woke up in the middle of the night sometimes. No idea what time it was because I didn't check my phone. I remember having sleep paralysis. I laid there barely able to move my eyes, but they were more mobile than they usually were when I had sleep paralysis. I remember shakingly looking over to the side of my bed to see a tall woman standing there with her hand underneath one of my bed sheets. The bed sheets began to move with her hand under them until the sheets fell off, her hand completely, to reveal that she was now holding onto my ankle. I laid there unable to move as tears flooded my eyes. All I could do was study her. Her skin had a greenish pale hue, and her bones and veins were very visible as she had been older. Her hair was gray and curly, but also frizzy. It was such a mess, in fact, I didn't get any chance to see her face that much. Maybe just the tip of her nose from the side. She almost seemed so focused on my ankle that she forgot that there was a person attached to it entirely. I remember starting to see black and then waking up a few minutes later as if I passed out and I could move. The blanket had still been pulled back from where she had her hand on me, and the small yellow lamp in my room still blared into the wall behind me, but she was nowhere to be found. I checked my door to see it was still locked. I stayed up for a while thinking about her before I slowly drifted off to sleep. I didn't see that particular woman again, but stuff didn't let up in the house or my room. I would occasionally hear footsteps just in my room and people talking outside the door after everyone had already gone to bed. I had been so sure I heard people talking that I even went out there to check a few times, but I was met with nothing more than the pitch black of not illuminated house and the silence of the night. So I always just went back to bed. I started having horrible nightmares every night for weeks on end, followed by no dreams at all for a week or two. Then more nightmares, and multiple of them at night. 2 to 3 nightmares a night made me not want to sleep that much, so I didn't anymore. My health began to deteriorate. I had developed something none of the doctors could tell me about. A majority of the time, they would either tell me nothing was wrong, or they were annoyed that I was even there, so that they gave me a fake conclusion and labeled me with problems that I didn't really have. They would give me pills that never really helped, tell me to avoid eating things that never made anything better by avoiding them. I was isolated from my family and friends because I was unable to eat without my intestines stopping. They barely worked as it was. A majority of my food would just sit in my intestines and rot, making me look pregnant with inflammation. I even had to stop going to school in person because I basically lived at the doctor's office receiving acupuncture treatments that barely helped. I was completely hopeless. I started to wonder if it was the house or me. I never had health issues until I moved into this house, and if there's anything demons would like to do, it's kill you in one way or another. I tell you this because the worse the activity in the house, the worse my condition became. Since I couldn't live my life in real life, I mostly tried to dream about it, but I didn't have much luck with the nightmares consistently pulling me apart. One night, specifically, I remember waking up from a dream that terrified me to my core. In the dream, I was standing in the kitchen with a psychic medium who was asking me questions about the house. Do you ever hear talking when people aren't home? What about a strange music sound? Have you ever smelled rotting flesh or sulfur before? I stood there with my mother answering these questions when all of a sudden I looked over to the library to see a pale woman with jet black hair hanging upside down from the ceiling. She was standing with her arms out in like a T form, as if she was trying to make herself look like an upside down cross on the ceiling, like she was mocking Jesus. Just then, she dropped down to the floor and began crawling towards me before she stood up and looked me in the face. Her irises were black, making the center of her eyes simply look like black dots on a white surface. Her hair was tangled and matted. She was tall, around 6 feet, and without her mouth moving, she spoke to me. I'm never leaving. You can never get rid of me. I'll always be here with you. I began screaming at her, commanding her to leave my house in the name of Jesus, and she backed away slowly to the outside of my house, but she never lost that smile, as if she knew something that I didn't. When I woke up in the morning, I felt like there was a heavy weight on my chest. As I walked through the day, the weight never lifted. It was like she was following me around. I could feel her watching me, but I tried my best to ignore it. I found it better to refuse to acknowledge at times. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but sometimes it helps. I decided my room was the problem again, so I moved out to the couch in the room off the garage, and that's where I decided to sleep that night. Later that night, I had been having a dream, not entirely sure what it was, when all of a sudden, I was standing in the room that I was sleeping in, and I saw an elderly man standing by the door. He said, "Hurry and run, child. She's coming. She's coming." "What are you talking about? Who's coming?" I asked. He didn't answer. He only pointed with a sheer look of fear grafted to his face. In the corner that he was pointing at, I saw the woman with black dots in her eyes running towards me. As soon as she reached me, I was thrown back into reality, and I had woken up, but I was having sleep paralysis. I opened my eyes a little bit, but it was difficult because they felt as though they had 10-pound weights on each eyelid. But when I did open my eyes, I saw the woman on the ground crawling around my bed. What the fuck? She then climbed on top of me and opened her mouth wide. Then I woke up a short time later because I assumed I had passed out due to fear. This didn't happen super late at night either. It was light out when it happened, and it was the same amount of light when I woke up. It was a cloudy and gray day, but still there was light coming in through the windows. I sat up to think about the experience and decided there was nothing wrong with my room. It was after me. So it didn't matter where in the house that I went. The next night, I stayed out in my room off the garage. I figured that since it didn't matter where I was, I could sleep anywhere I wanted. After I had drifted to sleep, I had another dream. It was me standing in the middle of the same room I was sleeping in currently. I looked over to see myself sleeping, so I knew I was dreaming. Just then, the door from the food pantry in there began to open slightly. I shifted my gaze toward the door. It opened very little, but that little bit was enough for me to be able to see half of the woman with black irises. She stared at me for a moment with the door like that. Immediately, as I saw her, I began to try to find my words because usually in dreams, I get tongue twisted and feel as though I can't speak. Almost as if she was holding my mouth closed. I finally gained the strength to yell at her as much as I could. "Leave here in Jesus' name. You are not welcome in this house. In the name of Jesus, be gone." I continued to scream, but it didn't seem to faze her. She curled her fingers around the door and opened it more fully. She began to walk towards me as I screamed at her. Slowly, she continued until she bent over to look me right in the eyes as she stood inches from my face. Then I woke up. 3 times I've seen her. 3 times were all that she's visited me. 3. Yet another mockery of the church and the Trinity. I moved back into my room after seeing her again and decided to stay there most nights, unless I was occasionally forced to sleep elsewhere. I have endless stories, so if these interest you and you'd like to hear more, don't hesitate to text me. So I obviously want to hear more. I messaged her again and I was like, of course I want to hear more. Your stories are so intense. Did it ever stop? I need to know. And oh my God, that's fucked up. I would be throwing hands, says the girl that's never had an experience before. And she said, yeah, I'll for sure send more, but no, it didn't ever stop. It slowed down, but I still have something happen every 1 to 2 months, which is pretty good for how it used to be. I totally get the throwing hands bit though. Maybe that's why people get sleep paralysis, so they can't throw hands, laughing face. And I hearted her reaction, or I hearted her comment. Holy crap. I hate the stories where you guys are like, something is like crawling underneath the bed or crawling on the floor and coming towards me and getting on top of my bed when I'm sleeping and you have sleep paralysis and you can't move. What the fuck? That whole house just sounds bad, and I can't believe you still continue to live there. Holy shit. Everything about your stories is just terrifying. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your stories. Your stories are so intense and terrifying, and I cannot believe you've been dealing with that your whole fucking life. No wonder you're not even fazed by this shit anymore, because like it's been happening to you nonstop. This is fucking insane. Holy crap. I cannot believe you've been dealing with this for that long, and that is terrifying. So thank you for allowing me to read your story, and I hope you move and don't deal with this anymore, because that's fucking terrifying. But I do like the fact that you keep updating us, because that's really cool. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you guys are interested in my sun catchers and you guys want to buy one from me or you want to support me, feel free to send me a message and I will definitely create one for you, because they're so much fun to make and they're really, really cool. And if you guys made it to the end of the video, please leave me your favorite purple emoji. We're gonna go for a purple theme today because my eye makeup is purple, my hair is purple, and I'm just feeling like a flying purple, what is the song? One-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater or something like that. I don't know. Just leave me a purple emoji down below if you guys made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys at the next one.